Welcome everyone to Chess with TV, episode 289. Today is August 16th, 2016. The title of the episode is The Infinite Game. We're going to try playing a game that never ends, and we're going to try to play a perfect game. Two things that rarely happen in the game of chess. Let's see exactly what we can do here. We've got two challenges from Axerbot, a 30-minute game. Oh, that sounds like somebody dying over there. And a slower game. So should we do that? Yeah, Axerbot is very eager to be the opponent of the infinite game. So let's do this. We only have 30 minutes for the entire game because episodes are 30 minutes long. But if we each have 30 minutes, that'll help it to be infinite. So as part of the infinite game, we're going to be taking back any bad moves so that there's only good moves on the chessboard. And that'll help keep there be good moves. So does take back work? Yeah. So P.S. No bad moves allowed. We will take them back. I can't quite type, but I'm pretty close. So this is called the Giuoco Piano. If he would please move his bishop there. It's one of my favorite openings. Okay. Please do that. It's very popular these days to play knight f6. I don't like that as white or black because white just comes out and it's like, I'm attacking you. And there's this line called the fried liver where there's a lot of people dying out there. I hope everybody's okay. Oh, I think I need to be right back. I'm sorry. There actually is somebody dying. One moment, please. So that is one other way to have an infinite game. My apologies. What happened was several emergencies on top of each other, resulting in an emergency of emergencies, if you know what I mean. So this 94 is not typical. I don't even know what to play here, but in the interest of playing perfectly, I'll take a moment to look at it. I'm out of breath from recovering from multiple emergencies. That was remarkable. If you're watching on YouTube, sorry about that. At least you can skip ahead. And if you're on Twitch, I'm super sorry because you can't. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm back. This is tricky. Usually black will play knight a5. That's the most common. And less common is knight d5, allowing a sacrifice of the knight. But this move is also played. And I think it's like the third most popular. Knight c3 seems obvious, to just hold the pawn for a bit. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Let's just play knight c3. I mean, I've got two defenders here now, the knight and bishop, so that seems good. I don't have time to take this challenge relock, so sorry. Perhaps you should join next episode, Thursday at 3 p.m. GMT, and then I can play you in the tournament that we'll have then. What do I take this one with? He seems to be destroying himself. So if I take with a knight, and a trade of knights with the check, it seems very good, so he won't want to trade knights. But what will he play? Will he play this? This seems to work great. Is there any reason that I can't just take that with a knight? If I take with a bishop, it's not as good. Let's just take with a knight. Got a little bit of ear problem. Okay, so this comes with a check. This can't be good. This can't be. I got a voicemail. Doesn't matter. And then I can trade more. So this seems good for me because I traded lots of things and I got a free pawn. So let's count the pawns. I have all 8 pawns. 7 here and the 8th one is right there. He has he's missing some pawns. He's definitely missing a pawn here. And he's definitely missing a pawn here. So I may have 2 pawns. Oh, he's bad. Colon V. Okay, so we need to undo that. Did you play an imperfect move? And then I have to give him some upside down exclamation marks. which means we have to take these back. Those were bad. We just have to go back right now because this position is clearly better for me. I can give away the d5 pawn and still have a better position simply because I still would have an extra pawn. And he's not got any like aggressive attack here. I think he's saying b5 was a mistake when he says b5 there. b5 is this move. For those of you who are not quite familiar with the notation, the letters are down here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and the numbers are here. So you just find the B and you find the 5, and that's the square right there. And if there's no piece in front of it, it's a pawn. So like B5 is bishop B5, but just B5, that's a pawn going there. So that's how that works. So, okay, try better. Someone seems to be using a robot to analyze the position. Suggestion in the chat, you know who is, from someone who clearly knows me. You should do a variant where you cannot take with any pieces. Yeah, or how about a variant where you can't move anything? It seems like there's not much chess to that if you can't take anything. That doesn't seem good. Is this in your opening book? Because seriously, I have this extra pawn, so I check, and then, you know, some trades maybe you get it back, but this doesn't seem best. What am I supposed to play after ND4? We're actually going to look this up because I got a comment from someone on the last episode's YouTube video, and he said, I really love this episode because you had time to talk about what you were thinking about, as opposed to just playing faster than you could talk, which is sometimes what I do on this show. So let's look this up. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. Google can obviously tell us about this. BC4, knight F6, knight G5. Look at this. You can't see it. Oh, that's terrible. D5, E takes D5, knight D4. So I've typed all those moves into this search, and it's called the Fagatello attack, which is named after a cheese, clearly. There it is. Knight D4, C3 is played next in this game. Let's open a few of these links here and learn about what we're doing here. Is this a rated game? That could be a problem. It's rated. So I'm going to be kicked off the internet and probably murdered by Thibault, who's watching and created the website, because clearly I'm cheating right now looking up games during my game. Look at all these games that went like this. But it was all 6.c3. So knight c3 is different. So let's put knight c3 in there. Does anyone have that? Next move. Next move. Where's the next move button? Oh, this is just a position. Oh, this is a fried liver position. How do we get here? Knight g5, knight g5, bc5, d5 takes, knight d4. Okay, so it's this one, the Fritz variation. It's a good variation. Okay, here we are. Possible continuations. c3 is most common. Knight c3, look at that. Oh, it's bad already. This is how many games white wins. It's 32% of them. How many black wins? 55%. And then that many are draws. So out of these 43 games, black did much better than white. So that's not the best choice. The best choice is pawn to c3. And we'll go in here and see if anything is recommended for black. h6 is most common. H6. But the most winningest move is bishop c5, giving black. Only 6 games were played this way, but black had a huge win percentage. So now let's go back to the game, and bishop d6 was played, which I have to admit is not in this list anywhere. Oh, there it is. There's 2 games, and black won all of them. Black won every game by playing that move. Now I need to pay the money. Well, clearly it's the best move if black wins every game by doing it. So Here, let's just let him win, right? Okay, so I'm just going to leave things as they are. He's going to kick my knight, and I'm going to move it here, and then he's going to pin it. I'm going to play this move, so that when he kicks my knight, I can play here. I could already do that, but it seems cooler when it's defended by a pawn. It's important to be cool. It's important to be cool. There's actually 2 kinds of cool. And it's based on perspective, because everything in the world is based on perspective. The first way to be cool is to think you're cool. And that is its own coolness in and of itself. You could be a frog, and if you think you're cool, then you are cool. by this first definition. But if anybody sees you, they're gonna be like, dude, you're a frog, and then you're not so cool. But the second way, which is arguably more important, is other people think you're cool. Okay, want to trade? Maybe it's less important. I mean, does it really matter what other people think? There's so many people. Each one's going to have a different opinion. Like right now, there's like 20, 30 people watching, and on the YouTube channel, I get hundreds of views. Each one has a slightly different opinion of how cool I am. And the meter actually goes slightly negative for some of those. But there's only one of my opinion. And if I think I'm not cool, that has a big impact on my life. Like I might say I'm stopping Chess with TV. I'm not cool enough for Chess with TV. But if I think I'm cool, I could be the largest doofus in the room and I would still do this because I think I'm cool. So I actually think that's more important. It's more important that you have your own self-confidence than if anyone else thinks anything of you. I'm a big believer in confidence. I don't go so far as to say that confidence changes reality. Like if I believe that I'm a frog, then I'll become one. But I do think it definitely has an impact. Like you're more likely to behave like a frog if you think you're a frog. Does that make sense? If you want to be a frog, act like it. Okay, I think I'll just take this. Trades seem okay. Trades seem good since I have this pawn. I'll let him worry about how to recover that pawn. I see this all the time in sports. I play a sport called ping pong. Not everyone considers it a sport, but it's at the Olympics, so I think it's a sport. I would think it was, even if it's not. I think chess is a sport, and that's not at the Olympics, so whatever. But people in ping pong, they hit the ball, and then they say, oh, what a stupid shot, because they'll miss, right? And they'll be like, oh, stupid. I got this one opponent who I play regularly who just has the most wonderful insults for himself. In fact, he uses his own first name as an insult. He's like, I'm not going to give you his first name. That would be a violation of privacy. But he just shouts it out after he misses the ball, as if he's scolding a child, right? And that's just treating yourself uncoolly. And pretty soon he has this whole mindset of you're a stupid person who misses the ball. And that impacts his play. In my opinion, he needs to give himself compliments and be like, nice try. You know, but nobody does that. I've never played anyone who's like, he hits the ball and he's like, nice try. Next time you'll do better, self. Nobody does that. They should, though. They should. It's good for your self-confidence. Of course, it's called table tennis, not ping pong. Did you know it was actually originally named ping pong? The sport was called ping pong. And there's a company called Ping Pong. This is tennis played on a table for people whose houses are small. And when they went to make it a sport, the company said, we are Ping Pong Company. You can't name it Ping Pong. That's our registered brand. So they needed another name. And to this day, this sport is like 70, 80 years old right now, I think. And to this day, it's called table tennis, and ping pong is still around. There's a company called Ping Pong, and you can buy ping pong with the R circle around it, paddles that are like from ping pong. So it has to have two names because there's a company. It's kind of like, not exactly like, but it's kind of like Kleenex. Most people just say Kleenex for this right here. They're like, oh, it's a Kleenex, but it's not a Kleenex. That's a company. It's a facial tissue. And I love being obstreperous and calling it that. What does obstreperous mean, guys? It means noisy and difficult to control. Exactly. That's what I'm like. I'm like obstreperous. And I say facial tissue. And then I go one further. Instead of calling it something else, I call it bathroom tissue. Tissue is such a great word because you can just put anything in front of it and it becomes something else. This looks good. Did he capture something? No problem. I'll just take him right back. So my pawn structure is now super fixed, and this is going great for me now. I think I'm winning. So now trades just simplify this even more and make it good, but there is this kind of a problem here. So I think I'm fine with just trading and then saving my queen, but I can't go to these squares, so maybe I go here. I don't want to lose that pawn. I really want to play c3. Maybe I should just play c3 now. Yeah, if he takes, I just take with the bishop. That's fine. In fact, it's pretty good. So let's play c3. The knight's actually trapped pretty much, so that seems like a good start. He takes, I take with bishop. Yeah, let's do that. I mean, there's some advantages I could get from the knight being stuck here. Like eventually I could take it and he's got to keep his queen guarding it just to make sure he doesn't lose anything. But I'm ahead of pawn, so let's keep it simple. We'll play this way. He could play knight b5, but if I take that, I think he gets a pretty bad position. His pawn ends up over here. My center is still strong. The bishops are on the same color square, which is important so that it's not a draw. If you have played a lot of chess, you know what I mean. So there's a lot of company names that are actually products. So I'll just go ahead with this. Attacking here. For example, I believe ketchup is ketchup a company. Google's very helpful. It's also spelled cat's up. I have no idea why. No, Heinz. Heinz makes it, but nobody puts Heinz on their burger. It's just a table sauce. No, it's a fail. Somebody in chat was like, well, ketchup is like that, but they're wrong. Look at this. Clearly they're wrong. Only on Chesswiz TV will you find out that you can be wrong with ketchup. Most people would say it's completely impossible to be wrong with ketchup. Let's move the queen off the file with the rook. Seems good. But another one is Googling something. Someone just yesterday, I didn't even point it out to me. It was like, so I Googled it. And in my head was screaming, you can't Google something just like you can't Kleenex anything because Google is a company. You need to Bing it, which is the stupidest line ever. You need to search it on the internet. It turns out there was a movie where Microsoft paid to use the phrase Bing it. There's a character in the movie who says Bing it, which means Google it, obviously, but their competing product is called Bing, and it's the most cheesy line because it's so obvious that they're just trying to bring attention to Bing because they're like the second place browser, search engine, I mean. So now it's a joke, I say Bing it, but it is a joke because Bing is a joke, in my opinion. But you shouldn't say Google it. You just shouldn't. It violates intergalactic law. You have to say, search it on the internet. A long time ago, people used copy machines to copy one page to another. Now we don't have pages because everything's in the computer. But when they did that, they would do something called Xeroxing, and that's another example. Xerox was a company, and they made copy machines, which were called Xerox machines. And so you would actually say, I need to Xerox this paper, which is the same faux pas. That's French, by the way. It's spelled like this, foxpas, but it's pronounced faux pas. It's an embarrassing or tactless act, mostly tactless, mostly that, or remark in a social situation. Now you know. You knew that already, but now I've told you. That's what I should say. Now I've told you that. I really want to trade, you know, but why bother? I've got the two bishops. Trading is nice simply because I have this extra pawn. If I didn't have this pawn, why would I be taking that knight? But the thing is, if I can get a winning position, why do I need more? It's pretty good. Oh, there's another great example in the chat. Gadzinisko says, photoshopping. That is so true. I hear that a lot. Is this image photoshopped, you would say, which means edited with the software product Photoshop from Adobe. It's become a verb, like with a small p. I haven't seen it in print, like in a book, like I'm reading a book and the character in the book photoshops something with a little p. I've never seen that happen. Maybe it will in the future. I guess it would have to be a capital P, but that's another great example. I've definitely heard people use that as a verb. Someone in the chat, it's basically the cheat, says you should teach English online. There's a company called VipKid, and they pay like $22 an hour. That sounds great, but that's nothing compared to the pay of Chesswiz TV. That is nothing. You guys want to see how much I make on Chesswiz TV? Whoops, that's the wrong tab. Look at this. Look at this. Patreon.com/chesswiz. You can change this, by the way. This is my Patreon page. I make a whopping $12 per month, and I stream an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours a week, regularly scheduled. And I also do off-schedule streaming. Like if you just follow the Twitch channel, sometimes I'm on there, grooving with some music. That doesn't even go on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're like, oh, I want more Chess Whiz, you got to follow on Twitch, and then you get live Chess Whiz. And so that's like maybe 2 hours on average a week for 4 weeks a month on average. It's maybe 9 hours. And I make $12 a month. So that's like $1.30 an hour. That is a whopping good salary for playing chess and talking about really important obstreperous things. Yeah. But you can support Chess Whiz. I mean, you could make me make up to $1.40 an hour if you would just please pay me money for free and get nothing for it. It's his turn. We need to say something completely witty that's going to distract you from the fact that you're sitting in front of a computer doing nothing. Or maybe a phone. Some people watch on their phones now. I could tell you a story. I could tell you how I got scammed on the internet last week. It was awful. It was really awful. I did get scammed. The short story is don't use friends and family mode on PayPal to pay for something. Ever. Because what happens is the person disappears. In this case anyway. Completely. Like they become nobody. And then, I'm going to take this now. And then you call PayPal and you're like, this person disappeared and he didn't send me what I was buying. In fact, he doesn't even exist. He used a fake name. He gave me an address and it's not an address and I'm a fool. And PayPal is like, well, you should have used our PayPal mode because now we're not going to help you. Frustrating. And I think I just have fake information on him, completely fake. So I'm following a few steps to recover my funds. We'll see if it pans out. Maybe I'll keep you updated, maybe I won't. But the moral of the story is never use friends and family mode, or maybe never use PayPal. Because they were so happy that I was scammed. Like, you got scammed? That's perfect. Next time you won't make the mistake of not paying us exorbitant fees. Exorbitant. Did I say exorbitant? That's terrible. Define exorbitant. It's so hard to spell this word. Look, I did it wrong. Exorbitant. Unreasonably high. That's exactly what kind of fees. Unreasonably high. So does that mean like if you smoke too much weed, you can become exorbitant? Could be true. I think it's just a slow and steady win here. Nothing much happens except I have an extra pawn, so I'll just wait until I win. Waiting, that's what's happening right now. If you're like, where's the winning? We're still in the waiting phase. Hey, look, check. And then I'll take that for free. Seems good. Is there any reason not to? Like maybe my rook is hanging for free? Oh, he wants to take back. Unfortunately, this infinite game is almost out of time. The episode ends in 3 minutes. So if he wants to blunder something, that'd be fine, actually. What I would do, of course, is take the rook. He recaptures. And then I check him here in green, because I'm green. And he'd move here. He'd move here in blue. That's blue. Just believe me. And then I take this. And then meanwhile, he'd be coming down here, check. And then he'd be checking me here. But then he'd be out of checks. I'd come up like this. So in the end, checkmate. Someone's telling me that tactic doesn't work in the chat. But I've just explained. What? I've just explained how it would work. Why wouldn't it work? I'd pick up a bishop for free. Is there any reason that wouldn't work? I don't have to look at the board to know this. I'm just imagining it in my head. Oh. Have you ever seen a guy play without looking at the board, like completely? There's a blindfold mode on this website where you can, hide the pieces, but I mean completely not looking at the board. It's pretty cool. I've done it. And here's the trick to doing it. First, you have to play 10,000 games of chess, and then you can do it. No kidding. Take a look at my profile here. Right here, you can see ChessWiz has played 13,525, and that's just on this website. You think I played any chess before I found this website? Well, let me give you a clue. When I found this website, my rating started out as 1985. So maybe that was my first game, but I learned awfully fast. What I'm trying to say is I played lots of chess before chess, played lots of chess on chess, lots of chess. That's the secret to playing blindfold chess. You don't have to have a great memory. You don't have to have a great big car. You don't even have to have a girlfriend. All you need to do is play lots of chess. And that's easy for people like us because we're extremely nerdy. So after you do 10,000 games, it takes about, I don't know, 3 years maybe of chess, then it's just easy. And the reason is for something called, it's called chunking. Have you guys heard of chunking? It's a thing. And chunking is a thing. I'll just play here because I feel like it. Chunking is where you, instead of remembering a specific object, you remember a group of objects together. Like, let's say I told you my phone number and it was 771-7771. Well, you wouldn't have to remember all 7 digits because you would chunk up the 771 into a group and say, this is like 771, and you just remember that one number. And then the 7771, you'd refer it to the other one. And then you chunk that up too, and you say, this is another group very similar to the last group. So you don't have to remember 7 things. You just remember 2 groups, and they're very similar to each other. That's how chess players remember positions. They say, okay, so I've castled my king, and I've played f3. So all of these pieces right here is just remembering one thing. I've played f3 and I've castled and my rook is gone. This is not remembering 4 different pieces. And it's the same thing here. He's castled and he's played h6. So in just one little section of his brain, it's like the castling section, he has remembered 4 pieces and a big chunk of the board right there. So that's the secret to remembering a position. Would you please just trade queens with me? Is to chunk up the position into different parts. And the best way to do that is to play tons of chess because your brain says, oh yeah, I've seen knight c3. Oh, I've seen this. Oh, I've seen this. I've seen this. Everything's been seen if you've played a lot of games. So your brain automatically says, well, I've seen this before, so I just need to remember this set. In fact, they found that chess players with great memories who could play lots of blindfold chess games at the same time, they tested them. There's 2 of them, by the way. And they found that if they just scrambled up the pieces in random positions, like they put bishop h4 and a knight here and a bishop here and pawns on the back rank, they just drop pieces on like hurricane chess, right? Or as I call it, earthquake tessuji. And they just make a board of scrambled pieces. And then they compare that with average Joes. They find that the chess players are not better at remembering chess positions if they're completely random. Because they can't chunk it. They've never seen a bishop next to a bishop that's on the same color square with an enemy knight that can be captured right next to that. Their brain would say, this is new and complete. We knew, and new and complete. We knew. There's no way I can remember this all as a group. So they have to remember each individual piece, which is very hard. So as a result, chunking is the way to remember a chess position. I'm glad I told you that. I don't know why I'm still playing this game. I'll use my king. Obviously, I need to use my king here. Have you ever done like memory training stuff where you try to remember stuff? If you think about chunking, it's a lot easier. Like if you're like, you have to remember 3 numbers. Just think of it. I'm going to do this as a group of numbers. Makes it easier. Most people don't do that. You have to be very nerdy to even want to try. I saw a pretty good joke the other day. I saw it because it was in a book. It said, what do you call a fly with no wings? Oh, my pawn, my poor pawn. Oh. What do you call a fly with no wings? You heard that joke before? I hadn't heard it before, and I have seen a lot of bad jokes. Like when I was a kid, I would go to the library in the joke section, and I'd check out the books of bad jokes, like entire books full of bad jokes, and I'd read it just so I could find a bad joke. because I'd heard so many jokes that I'd seen most of them. And I had never seen this one about the fly. The answer to what do you call a fly with no wings is a walk. This is where you laugh. It's so bad streaming. I mean, if I were in a room with people, I could be like, oh yeah, no one's laughing. But I can't even tell if you're laughing because no one types ha ha quick enough. I'm like 5 minutes later, oh, they were laughing. It's very difficult to do stand-up comedy sitting down on the internet. It's very difficult. In fact, I would argue it's not even stand-up comedy. I'm getting a lot of personal questions about the kids crying in the background, but I'm not going to answer those. I consider them a violation of my privacy. Or as they say in written, privacy. I guess I could win his rook like this. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, that seems good. I won his rook. Step 2 is complete. Okay, so now I'm going for a checkmate. This looks like it should work. Hands-free checkmate is my favorite kind. Bam! Checkmate. Well, that was an interesting game. Unfortunately, it wasn't infinitely long, and it wasn't perfect either, but we did a lot of talking, so that's good. I think the game actually went off the rails really, really early, because when black gives up a pawn like this, you need to get some good compensation for it in terms of activity. And just because of my bigger number, you can see I'm 17 and he's 16, I was able to kind of limit the amount of activity he got from that, and it just wasn't worth the extra pawn. So he didn't get activity out of this pawn. So after these trades, it's like I'm just ahead a pawn, and then I just slowly win. So it's quite a boring game actually. Black, like this move here, is just too passive and quiet. You really need to get those pieces out and attacking, and we saw some of those options when we were cheating earlier. So that's really what happened in the game. He sacrificed a pawn but didn't have anything to show for it, and then we slowly talked about obstreperous chess players while we finished off the game. So I guess it wasn't much, but it was an episode after all. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. The next episode is going to be a tournament. It's going to be 32nd Thursday, so if you tune in exactly at 3 p.m. GMT, you can join in a tournament play with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. This has been ChessWhiz TV. Thanks for watching.